Emma sat alone in her tiny flat in London, feeling very tired after another difficult day. She worked at a place that helped homeless people, and every day she saw so much sadness. At 30 years old, she had spent many years trying to help others, but now she felt empty inside. She wondered if she was really making any difference in the world. The rain was falling outside her window, making soft sounds against the glass. Emma made herself a cup of tea and sat on her old sofa. She looked around her small home with its peeling paint and wondered why she felt so lonely all the time. Even though she helped people every day, she had no close friends or family to share her life with. Her phone rang suddenly at 9:30. Emma looked at the screen and saw a number she did not know. She almost did not answer because she was too tired to talk to anyone. But something made her pick up the phone. "Hello," she said in a tired voice. Please do not hang up on me," came a shaky voice from the other end. The man had an accent that sounded different from London voices. "My name is William and I am calling from Manchester. I know this must sound very strange to you, but I am looking for my grandson." Emma felt annoyed at first. She thought this might be someone trying to trick her or ask for money. Many people called with fake stories like this. She was about to end the call when she heard something special in the old man's voice. It was full of real pain and love. "I have been calling telephone numbers for many months now," William went on, his voice breaking slightly. "My grandson James went missing 2 years ago. He was a student at a university in London, but then one day he just disappeared. No phone calls, no letters, nothing at all. I am 75 years old, and all I want is to know that my boy is safe somewhere." Emma felt her heart becoming soft as she listened. At the homeless shelter, she met many families who had lost each other. She knew how much pain it caused when families were broken apart. "Can you tell me about James?" Emma asked gently, settling back into her sofa. William's voice became a little brighter when he started talking about his grandson. "James is 23 years old, and he has the kindest heart you could imagine. Ever since he was a small boy, he always wanted to help people who had nothing. Even before he went to London for university, he would take food from our kitchen to give to homeless people in our town." Emma felt herself becoming more interested. This sounded like the kind of person she met at her work every day. "He has brown hair and beautiful green eyes," William continued, and Emma could hear the love in his voice. "He also has a small scar on his chin from when he fell off his bicycle when he was 8 years old. I remember taking him to the hospital that day, and he was more worried about his broken bicycle than his hurt face." "What was James studying at university?" Emma asked. "Social work," William said proudly. "Just like his grandmother did before she died. James's parents passed away when he was 12, so I raised him by myself. His grandmother always helped people in need, and James wanted to do the same thing. He used to tell me that he wanted to make the world better, one person at a time." As William talked about his grandson's hopes and dreams, Emma felt something wake up inside her heart. For months she had been feeling like her work did not matter. But hearing about James, a young man who had the same dreams as her, made her feel hopeful again. "James sounds like a wonderful young man," Emma said softly. "He is the best person I know," William replied. "But I am so worried about him. Why would he just disappear like that? Did something bad happen to him? Is he hurt? Is he hungry? I lie awake every night thinking about these things." Emma could hear the old man starting to cry, and her own eyes began to fill with tears. She thought about her own work at the homeless shelter and all the people she helped every day. Maybe she could use her connections to help this grandfather find his missing grandson. "William," she said quietly, "I work at a homeless shelter here in London. I know many people who help others in the city. Let me see what I can find out about James." There was silence on the phone for a moment. Then William's voice came back, filled with something Emma had not heard before: hope. "You would really do this for me?" he asked in amazement. "You would help a stranger you have never met?" Emma smiled for the first time in weeks. "Sometimes strangers are just friends we have not met yet," she told him. That night, after she hung up the phone, Emma felt different. She had a purpose again. Somewhere in London, there might be a young man who needed to know that his grandfather loved him and was looking for him. And somewhere in Manchester, there was an old man who needed to know his grandson was safe. Emma was going to help bring them back together. Emma woke up the next morning feeling different than she had in months. For the first time in a long while, she had something important to do. She made her breakfast quickly and started thinking about how to find James. She had promised William she would help, and she never broke her promises. At work that day, Emma could not focus on her usual tasks. While she helped serve lunch to the homeless people who came to the shelter, her mind kept thinking about the missing young man. During her break, she called the first university on her list. "Hello, I am looking for information about a student named James," she said to the person who answered the phone. He would have been studying social work about 2 years ago. The woman on the phone was not very helpful. She said they could not give out information about students to strangers. Emma felt disappointed, but she did not give up. She called 3 more universities that afternoon. Every evening at 9 o'clock, William called Emma from Manchester. Their phone calls became the best part of Emma's day. William would tell her stories about James when he was growing up, and Emma would share any small pieces of information she had found. "I called 4 universities today," Emma told William during their second week of searching. "Most of them would not talk to me, but I found one person who remembered James." William's voice became excited. "What did they say?" "I spoke to his old university today," Emma explained. "James left suddenly in his final year. His professor said he seemed troubled about something, but no one knows what happened." William was quiet for a moment, then he sighed heavily. "This is not like my James at all. He always shared everything with me after his parents died. I raised him from when he was 12 years old, and we never kept secrets from each other." Emma felt her heart break for this old man who had already lost so much in his life. First his daughter and her husband in a car accident, and then his beloved grandson had disappeared. "We will find him, William. I promise you we will." During her lunch breaks, Emma started visiting other places where someone like James might go to help people. She went to food banks, medical clinics for poor people, and community centers. She showed James's description to everyone she met, but no one seemed to know him. On Thursday of the second week, Emma decided to visit a soup kitchen in East London that she had heard about from other social workers. The building was old and needed paint, but inside it was warm and full of people helping others. Emma spoke to the volunteer coordinator, an older woman named Margaret who had kind eyes and gray hair. Margaret listened carefully as Emma described the missing young man she was looking for. "Brown hair, green eyes, and a scar on his chin?" Margaret asked, looking thoughtful. "Very gentle with people, always trying to help?" Emma's heart started beating faster. "Yes, that sounds exactly right. Do you know him?" Margaret nodded slowly. "Yes, I think I know who you mean. We called him Tom here because he never told us his real name. He helped us serve meals to hungry people for about 6 months, but we have not seen him in over a year now." Emma felt excited and worried at the same time. "Did he say why he stopped coming here?" Margaret looked around to make sure no one else was listening, then she lowered her voice. "Tom was helping some people who were in trouble with dangerous men. Bad men who wanted money from them. Tom was trying to protect a family with small children, but then one day he just disappeared. We worried that something terrible had happened to him." Emma felt cold all over. "What kind of dangerous men?" "The kind who hurt people who cannot pay back money they owe," Margaret said sadly. "Tom was such a good boy. He cared too much about helping others, and sometimes that can put you in danger." That evening, Emma called William with mixed feelings. They were getting closer to finding James, but the news was frightening. "My James always wanted to save everyone," William said quietly after Emma told him what she had learned. "Even as a little boy, he would bring injured birds home for me to heal them. When other children were mean to someone at school, James would always stand up for them. But sometimes, Emma, trying to save others can put you in danger." Emma could hear the worry in the old man's voice. "William, we're going to find him. James sounds like he was trying to do the right thing." "I just want him to come home," William said, and Emma could tell he was crying. "I want to tell him that he does not have to save the whole world by himself. I want to tell him that it is okay to come home to someone who loves him." Emma felt more determined than ever. She would not let this kind old man lose hope. Somewhere in London, James was still alive and she was going to find him. Tomorrow she would visit more places, talk to more people, and follow every small clue until she brought this family back together. Emma woke up on Saturday morning with new energy. She had been searching for James for 2 weeks now, and she was not going to give up. She made a list of every shelter, clinic, and community center she could think of in London. Her plan was to visit as many places as possible over the weekend. The first place she went to was a shelter in North London. The workers there were very kind, but they did not know anyone who looked like James. The second place was a food bank, and the third was a clinic for people who could not afford doctors. At each place, Emma described James carefully: brown hair, green eyes, scar on his chin, very kind to people in need. By lunchtime, Emma had visited 6 places with no luck. She was starting to feel tired and disappointed, but she remembered her promise to William. She bought a sandwich from a small shop and kept going. The 7th, 8th, and 9th places also had no information about James. At the 10th place, a community center in East London, the manager thought he might have seen someone like James, but he was not sure. Emma's heart jumped with hope, but then the manager said the person he was thinking of had blonde hair, not brown. Emma kept walking through London, visiting every place on her list. Her feet hurt and she felt very tired, but every time she wanted to stop, she thought about William's sad voice on the phone. She thought about how the old man had lost his daughter, his wife, and now his grandson too. At the 14th place, a small charity that helped families, the woman at the front desk shook her head when Emma described James. "I am sorry, I have never seen anyone like that," she said. Emma felt like crying. She had one more place on her list for the day, a small medical clinic in South London that helped people who had no money for healthcare. She almost did not go because she was so tired, but something made her walk to the bus stop and take the long ride across the city. The clinic was in an old building that needed repairs, but inside it was clean and busy. Emma walked up to the reception desk where a middle-aged nurse with short brown hair was working on some papers. "Excuse me," Emma said politely. "I am looking for someone and I wonder if you might know him." The nurse looked up with a smile. "Of course I will try to help. What does this person look like?" Emma began her description that she had said so many times that day. "He is about 23 years old, with brown hair and green eyes. He has a small scar on his chin and he is very gentle with people. He likes to help others, especially people who are in trouble or need care." The nurse's face suddenly lit up with recognition. "Oh, you mean David," she exclaimed happily. "He volunteers here twice a week, helping translate for families who do not speak English well. Such a lovely young man." Emma's heart began racing so fast she thought it might jump out of her chest. "David? Are you sure? Can you tell me more about him?" "Yes, I am Helen," the nurse said. "David has been helping us for about 8 months now. He speaks several languages and he is so patient with the children. The families love him because he makes them feel comfortable when they are scared about seeing the doctor." Emma could barely breathe. "Is he here today?" Helen shook her head. "No, he only comes on Mondays and Wednesdays. But he will be here tomorrow morning. He helps with our Monday clinic for people who have nowhere else to go." Emma wanted to jump and shout with joy, but she tried to stay calm. "Helen, does David ever talk about his family?" Helen's expression became more serious. "Yes, he talks about his grandfather from Manchester all the time. He says his grandfather raised him after his parents died, and that he was the best man in the world. But David always looks so sad when he talks about him, like he misses someone very much but feels he cannot go home." Emma felt tears coming to her eyes. This had to be James. Everything matched perfectly. That evening, Emma could barely contain her excitement when she called William at 9 o'clock. "William, I think I found him," she said as soon as he answered the phone. "What? Are you sure it is him?" William asked, his voice shaking with both hope and fear. "The description matches perfectly," Emma explained quickly. "And Helen, the nurse at the clinic, says he talks about his grandfather from Manchester all the time. She says he seems sad, like he misses someone very much but feels he cannot go home." William was quiet for a long moment, and Emma could hear him breathing heavily. "Why would he not come home to me?" he finally asked in a whisper. "Does he not know how much I love him? Does he not know that I have been looking for him every day?" Emma felt her heart break for the old man. "Sometimes people think they are protecting the ones they love by staying away," she said gently. "Maybe James thought he was keeping you safe from whatever trouble he was in." "All I want is my grandson back," William said, and Emma could tell he was crying. "He is all the family I have left in this world." Emma made a decision right then. "William, I am going to that clinic tomorrow morning. I am going to talk to James and tell him how much you miss him. I am going to bring your boy home." Emma could not sleep at all on Sunday night. She kept looking at her clock every few minutes, watching the hours pass slowly. She was excited and nervous at the same time. Tomorrow morning she would finally meet James, the young man she had been searching for. She would finally be able to help reunite him with his grandfather William. She got up very early on Monday morning and made herself some tea, but her hands were shaking so much that she could barely hold the cup. Emma had helped many people at the homeless shelter, but she had never felt this nervous before. What if James ran away when he saw her? What if he refused to talk to her? Emma arrived at the small medical clinic in South London at 8:30 in the morning. The clinic did not open until 9 o'clock, but she wanted to be there early to make sure she did not miss James. She stood across the street from the building, watching the entrance carefully. At 5 minutes before 9, Helen the nurse arrived and unlocked the front door. She waved at Emma and smiled. "Are you here to see David?" she asked. Emma nodded, feeling her heart beating very fast. Yes, I am the woman who was asking about him yesterday. He should be here any minute now, Helen said kindly. He is always exactly on time. Emma watched the street, looking at every person who walked by. At exactly 9 o'clock, she saw a young man walking toward the clinic. He had brown hair and walked in a gentle way that reminded Emma of how William had described his grandson. When the young man got closer, Emma could see that he had kind green eyes. As the young man turned his head to open the clinic door, Emma saw it clearly, a small scar on his chin, just like William had said. Her heart jumped with excitement and fear. "James?" she called out softly from across the street. The young man stopped walking immediately and turned around. When he heard his real name, his face went completely white, like he had seen a ghost. He looked around quickly as if he was thinking about running away. "How do you know my real name?" he asked, his voice full of surprise and worry. Emma crossed the street carefully, walking slowly so she would not frighten him. "My name is Emma," she said gently. "I work at a homeless shelter here in London, and I have been talking to your grandfather William for many weeks. He has been looking for you everywhere, James." When Emma said William's name, James's eyes immediately filled with tears. His whole body started shaking, and he had to hold onto the clinic wall to steady himself. "Grandfather is looking for me?" he asked in a whisper, like he could not believe what he was hearing. Emma moved closer to him, speaking in the same gentle voice she used with frightened people at the shelter. "He calls me every single night at 9 o'clock, James. We talk for an hour about you and about how much he misses you. He loves you so much. All he wants is to know that you are safe." James looked like he might fall down. He walked over to a wooden bench near the clinic entrance and sat down heavily. He put his head in his hands and started crying quietly. Emma sat down on the bench next to him, being careful not to sit too close in case he wanted to run away. "James, why did you leave your grandfather? He said you used to tell him everything." James looked up at her with red eyes full of tears. "I cannot go back to him, Emma. There are bad people who might hurt him because of me. I was trying to help a family who owed money to dangerous men. The men got very angry at me for helping the family, and they said they would hurt anyone who cared about me. I had to disappear to keep grandfather safe." Emma felt sad for this young man who had tried so hard to protect the person he loved most. "James, that was 2 years ago. Those men have probably forgotten all about you by now. They have other things to worry about." James shook his head. "But what if they have not forgotten? What if they hurt my grandfather because of something I did?" Emma looked at him seriously. "James, your grandfather is 75 years old. He needs you more than he needs protection from people who might not even remember you exist." "But what if," James started to say. Emma interrupted him gently but firmly. "What if you waste the rest of your life hiding when you could be with the person who loves you most in the world? What if your grandfather dies of sadness thinking that you did not love him enough to come home?" James looked at her with wide, frightened eyes, like a child who was scared of the dark. Emma pulled her mobile phone out of her pocket. "Let me call him right now, James. Let me help you talk to your grandfather." James stared at the phone for a long moment, his hands shaking. Then very slowly he nodded his head. Emma dialed William's number, even though it was still morning and William usually called her in the evening. The phone rang twice before she heard William's familiar voice. "Emma? Is everything all right?" William asked, sounding worried because she was calling at a different time. Emma looked at James and smiled. "William, I have someone here who wants to talk to you." She handed the phone to James, who took it with trembling hands. He stared at it for a moment, then took a deep breath. "Grandfather?" he whispered into the phone. The sound that came from the phone was pure joy and relief, so loud that Emma could hear it clearly. Both she and James began to cry as they heard William's voice calling James's name over and over again. After James spoke to his grandfather on the phone, everything happened very quickly. William was so happy to hear his grandson's voice that he cried for 10 minutes while they talked. James told his grandfather that he was sorry for disappearing, and William told James that he loved him more than anything in the world. Emma helped them make a plan. William would take the train from Manchester to London in 3 days. This would give James time to finish his work at the clinic and get ready to see his grandfather again. James was excited but also very nervous. He had not seen William for 2 years, and he was worried that his grandfather might be angry with him. "What if he does not forgive me for leaving?" James asked Emma as they walked away from the clinic that Monday morning. Emma smiled at him. "James, your grandfather has been looking for you every single day for 2 years. He calls me every night just to talk about how much he misses you. Trust me, he will forgive you." On Wednesday morning, Emma went to the train station to buy William's ticket for him. She wanted everything to be perfect for their reunion. She also cleaned her small flat and bought some food because William would come there first to meet James. Thursday evening, Emma called William to make sure he was ready for the trip. "Are you nervous?" she asked him. "Very nervous," William admitted. "What if James has changed? What if he does not want to come home with me?" "William, James loves you just as much as you love him," Emma told the old man. "He never stopped thinking about you. He just thought he was protecting you." On Friday morning, Emma woke up early and put on her best dress. She had never met William in person, but she felt like he was already a dear friend. She made a sign with his name on it and went to King's Cross Station. The train from Manchester arrived at 11 o'clock. Emma stood near the exit, holding her sign up high so William could see it. Many people got off the train, but Emma was looking for an elderly man who would be searching the crowd for someone. Then she saw him. William was a thin man with white hair and kind blue eyes, just like she had imagined. He was wearing his best suit and carrying a small suitcase. He looked around the busy station with a worried expression on his face. "William," Emma called out loudly. When William heard his name, his face lit up with the biggest smile Emma had ever seen. He walked toward her as fast as his old legs could carry him, moving faster than a man of 75 should be able to move. "Emma? Is it really you?" he asked when he reached her. Emma nodded, and without thinking, they hugged each other like old friends who had not seen each other for years, even though they had only known each other for 1 month. "Where is my James?" William asked immediately, looking around the station. "He is waiting at my flat," Emma explained. "He was too nervous to come to the station, but he has been awake since 5 o'clock this morning getting ready to see you." Emma had called a taxi to take them to her flat. During the ride, William could not sit still. He clutched Emma's hand tightly and talked nervously about all the things he wanted to say to his grandson. "I want to tell him that I am not angry," William said quickly. "I want to tell him that I understand why he left. I want to tell him that I have missed him every single day." "You will have plenty of time to tell him all of those things," Emma said gently. When the taxi stopped in front of Emma's building, Emma could see James waiting in the doorway. He was wearing a clean shirt and had combed his hair neatly. He looked very young and scared, like a little boy waiting to see if he was in trouble. William got out of the taxi slowly, and then he saw his grandson for the first time in 2 years. Both men stood very still for a moment, just looking at each other. Then James ran forward and threw himself into William's arms. "I am so sorry, grandfather," James said, crying like a child. "I thought I was protecting you, but I was just being a coward." William held his grandson tightly, tears running down his cheeks. "You could never be a coward, my boy," he whispered. "You are the bravest person I know. But please never leave me again. We face problems together as a family." Emma watched from a few steps away with tears streaming down her face. She had spent her whole career helping people at the homeless shelter, but she had never felt as proud and happy as she did in this moment. 6 months later, Emma received a letter in the mail. It was an invitation to visit James and William in Manchester. They had started a new project together, a telephone helpline for families who had lost touch with each other. James had moved back home to take care of his grandfather, but he continued doing social work in Manchester. The letter said that they had already helped 12 families find each other again. The first people they helped were a mother and her daughter who had been separated for 5 years. Emma smiled as she read the letter. Her own life felt fuller now, knowing that somewhere in Manchester, a grandfather and grandson were together again, helping other families find their way back to each other. Love, she realized, was truly the strongest force in the world. The end.